Hey, what's up to all you others out there? This is filmmaker Ron K. Armstrong with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to dive deep into the question, does Ice Cube support Trump? Media manipulation revealed. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. So let's really get into this and unpack this. So it's been all over social media about how Ice Cube has met with the Trump administration regarding a Black agenda. And many are saying in social media, in mass media, that he supports Trump, and there is an outrage going on, especially with African Americans, because they see Trump as racist. So many people are not happy about this, calling him a coon and things of that nature. But let's really get into the truth of what's going on here. And I picked this subject to do a broadcast on because I think it exemplifies what's happening in this country, which is very disgusting. And this is nothing new. It's been going on for a while, but it's hit its height here in 2020, and that is that we are first time getting witness and we're privy to the media manipulation and lies, especially when it comes to Black men. The media has always took it upon itself to vilify Black men, to do anything it can to cast Black men in a negative light. And it's gone on for far too long. It needs to stop. And we are hopeful that this year that we're going to pull the curtain back and you'll see the wizard pulling the strings. We'll see who the puppet masters are. And I think that Ice Cube getting involved in politics this year, we're really beginning to see what is transpiring and how deep this media manipulation goes and who are the key players in this. So let's take a step back to a couple months ago in July. Ice Cube got together, I guess, with some individuals, and there's varying stories on this, but he authored a plan called the Contract with Black America. And this was following in the footsteps of organizations like ADOS, who were trying to push reparations as a topic of discussion in the political arena, because organizations like ADOS realized that our vote, African Americans vote, we were just giving our vote away and wasn't asking anything in return from the politicians. Well, during this election year, they thought it'd be a good idea to say, listen, if you want our vote, we need to have a Black agenda. We need to have to discuss reparations and so forth. So Ice Cube, was partly responsible for authoring this contract with Black America. Let's take a look at this really quickly so you can get an idea of how extensive this is. I'm going to pull up the PDF, which you can see here, a contract with Black America, and you can go to this yourself and basically read through it. And it asks for some really, really critical things and important things. And most important, it gets into, which I'm not going to get into the whole numbers and figures, but the wealth disparity between African Americans and whites in this country. And one of the things we have to also realize is the legacy of stolen wealth, how after slavery, Blacks were not compensated for their labor, for their efforts in building this country. And that kind of folds into another discussion, which is reparations. But this contract with Black America is a step in the right direction. So what happened consequently after this, as the reports go, is that both campaigns, the Biden and the Trump campaign, approached Ice Cube to have a discussion about this. Now, from what I've heard, what Ice Cube has actually said was that the Biden campaign says, oh, this looks interesting, but let's discuss this in depth after we win. And then the Trump administration said, oh, this looks great. Why don't we work together and we can extrapolate from some of this and incorporate it into this new plan that Trump wants to put together called the Platinum Plan. And then Trump consequently released that. Now, the problem with that is that what Ice Cube did upset a lot of those, the ruling elite, the powers that be in our government. And they got their media manipulation machine to start working right away, to pump out a new narrative and a spin. And that spin was that Ice Cube supports the Trump administration. And he has said that on every interview program over and over again, that he does not support them. But what he has tried to clarify was this. He says, we authored this plan, which was independent of both parties, the Democrats and Republicans. We said we will meet with anyone who's willing to talk with us and put together a Black agenda. And as I said before, since Biden said, well, we'll discuss this after we win, and Trump says, let's discuss this now, and I'll put this into my platinum plan, the spin machine decided to spin that and create a new narrative that Ice Cube is working with the Trump administration and supports them, which is totally a lie. And now, consequently, what you'll see is being disseminated out into the different social media platforms is the narrative that Ice Cube supports Trump. And then, of course, you have those in the minority community or African Americans who are not the wiser, have not investigated this or looked into this, and get emotionally rallied off this. Start to call us cube, set out, and all of these things. You have to understand. I want you to understand something too. As I alluded to before, this is the first time we'll be able to witness the spin machine, the media propaganda and lies. And they have controlled the narrative from the beginning of the year, and it's still going on now. And they want, now, let me say this starting out, I don't support either candidates, Trump or Biden. So I want to make that clear. But what they have done is to attribute everything under the sun that goes wrong in this country to Trump. And they have basically suppressed all negative information about Biden and Harris. And to the degree of, if Trump goes to the Soviet Union and farts, the media is all over the place about how bad it smells. Because they've got to paint Trump as the enemy. Every election cycle, every 4 years, they have an enemy, whether it's Osama bin Laden, ISIS, Saddam Hussein. You know, there's always some enemy that we have to rally against to promote democracy and freedom, you know. And this year we have Trump as that enemy, you know. And there are things that are being attributed to him in a negative way that he has nothing to do with. Nothing to do with. And the reporting on both sides is slanted, where we're seeing that racist statements that Biden has said and racist things that Kamala Harris has done have been omitted from mainstream media. There's no discussion about that. But everything that Trump says that may be misconstrued as racist is being pumped out there. And the reason being is because they've had their think tanks institutions, they put together their pathological, their psychographic studies on African Americans, and they know what triggers them. They know that when you say certain words like white supremacy, slavery, discrimination, it triggers Black people. And they have used this in putting out information to push them in a certain direction, to control the narrative, to create fear, hysteria, and paranoia. And it's disgusting on the levels that they have gone to do this. And they know that African Americans are very, very emotional. They're triggered easy. They're big consumers. And there's a lot of problems in that community with superficial thinking, which is looking at things and thinking thinking symbolism is progress. In other words, you've gone through 8 years of Obama, and he's a symbol of Black people aspiring and getting in positions of power and office, whereas he never put forth a Black agenda, never did anything for the African American community, but he did a lot for the LGBTQ community. But that has translated into, well, we made progress. That's mere symbolism. That's not progress. And that's a big problem. And those in politics, those who understand the underpinnings of this know what triggers African Americans, know how they think. You know, there was a tobacco company that put out a psychographic study on African Americans that said that they suffer from low self-esteem. So, you associate a product with high self-esteem things like name brand products, and that will get them to be loyal tobacco smokers and things of that nature. But anyway, so I want you to understand they know how to push the buttons, and they do it. For example, in this whole rewriting of the narrative, I saw one article, and I wish I had that to show you, where it said that Ice Cube supports Trump and he's dangerous, and Ice Cube is dangerous for doing so. Now, look at the dog whistle. Look at the keyword that they use, dangerous. And they have used these words and terms to associate them with black males. Case in point, Hillary Clinton, super predator. They know what they're doing. This gets into the realm of neurolinguistic programming, NLP. How do you put together marketing campaigns? How do you construct words that appeal to the subconscious mind and the fears within the public, especially white America? So when you're using things like Ice Cube is dangerous for supporting Trump, they know what they're trying to communicate, that black men are dangerous. This is what they're doing. And rewriting that narrative, knowing it's a lie that Ice Cube supports Trump. Now let's take a look at the article here that really kind of was the catalyst for all of this, and I'm going to show you further manipulation of the narrative here. Here is the article that came out from USA Today. All right, this is the author here. Alea, I think her name is Ala. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. And it says, Ice Cube is working with Trump and black women are calling him out. Notice how they use the idea of black women calling him out. Who are these black women? That's just a blanket generalized statement. Now it goes further into this, and you'll see Ice Cube there. And let's keep going. And it says, black women are absent from Ice Cube's plan. That is an outright lie. There is, in his plan, which I showed you the PDF, and you can download that yourself, it's inclusive. It talks about all black people. It doesn't exclude or omit black women. Furthermore, this article does something more insidious, which is a pattern and practice that's always been done when it comes to the civil rights of African Americans. When we are trying to stand up for civil rights, human rights, what have you, they try to muddy the waters by saying, well, what about lesbian, gay, and transgender rights too? We should include that as well. When we're dealing with a specific issue, wealth disparity, police misconduct, you have to look at how those things are targeted to specific demographics, specifically African-American males and females. To interject every other demographic or racial group under the sun in that is to not address the real problem. But here you have in this article where it says black women are absent for Ice Cube's plan. Not only is it a lie, it is going on to further say that transgender, queer, and gay and lesbians are also omitted from the plan as well. This is incredible in terms of the outright lie. And let's take this even further to understand who's behind this. And I showed you the author's name here. When you do a Google search, because you got to find out now who's behind all of this. So let's take a look at that. Let me go and bring up the author so you can see who's behind this. You have a white woman. A white woman speaking on behalf of black women, saying that black women are calling Ice Cube out. This is insidious. And what we find here coming from these sectors is a crafting of a plan and a narrative to destroy the character of a group of people, black men, and to create a gender war and friction where there doesn't need to be any. And unfortunately, you'll have those black women who identify as black feminist or lesbian go along with this, get triggered and say, oh, wow, we're excluded from the plan, and these institutions, because these are special interest groups that are involved, that are backed and funded by elite white males to cause division, divide and conquer. So you already have a certain segment of the population of Black women who have hatred of Black males, the gynocentric. And what they're going to do is utilize those individuals and leverage them so they can put this forefront in the mainstream media and on social media. You have a white woman orchestrating this behind the scenes, speaking on behalf of so-called Black women, lying, saying that, number one, Ice Cube supports Trump, lie. Number two, Black women are calling him out, lie. Number three, the plan omits Black women. Number four, the plan omits transgender, lesbian, queer. I mean, this is levels deep of manipulation, fabrication, and just outright perversion of the truth. So we need to understand what's going on here. And sadly, many Black men are picking up the mantle and now are trying to say, well, we're going to call Ice Cube out because, yeah, he's excluding the sisters, never taking a moment or a time to really research and understand this. It's disgusting. It's just really, really disgusting. But the great news is that there are some Black women out who are hip to this and know what's going on. And they've been tracking this from the very beginning, because this is not something new to 2020. They've been doing this for a while now. So I want to bring up a video where you have these Black women who know what time it is and are not having this. And this came directly off my Facebook page. Let's take a look at this, all right? This is brilliant here.
Which is a lie. He has clarified that. And Black women are calling him out. Right. So she uses two well-known Black feminists, particularly in the university. These authors of these kind of writings, right, can never go to a regular everyday Black woman in the hood and expect to get the same answer, period. She would never interview me because I'm going to tell her the truth. And she also would never interview Jade. They have a Rolodex of approved Negroes that they can call on to create and perpetuate a certain narrative. That's what we have going on.
100%. And we're gonna scroll through this. We're gonna show the article. Thank you for that intro, Sister Zakia. Look, and I had you big on the screen because I wanted folks to listen in to that message, to let people know that Black women are not a damn monolith, and all of us are not getting down with this damn, I call it anti-Black racist feminist BS, because I'm gonna try not to curse today. But either way, this is a copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe to Fly Nubian Queen. Look, allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So this is an article that our sister was talking about. Ice Cube is working with Trump, and Black women are calling him out. Brother Kareem Johnson and I talked about this article extensively yesterday on our program called The Lioness Den, which is weekdays, FlyNubianQueenTV.com, which is our YouTube channel, 12 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so we talked about that. And so, this was a whole bunch of instigation, basically. We don't necessarily need to go through all of it, but this person who wrote this, I assumed that the chick was Black. I should have looked her up. I should have looked at her photo. I should have looked at who this person was.
I looked her up. I posted her photo on my feed.
You definitely posted her photo on your feed. And when I saw it, I was like, stop the madness, right? And so she's talking about these complaints that Black women who, I don't know if they're in her little feminist circles or whatever, they definitely not, these aren't the type of Black women I roll with. But either way, this one section says Black women.
Nobody is missing from his plan. Let me be really clear. Yes. His plan is for all Black people. They are intentionally creating a division in his plan. His plan is for all Black people, but they are creating the division through their projection. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It was just like a part of this section that I really went in yesterday. I expended a lot of energy. So I'm grateful that our sister Zakia is here today, because I went all the way in and gave a whole monologue diatribe about how they are definitely saying, or this chick who wrote this is saying that because Black women are complaining because Black women, Black queer, and Black trans people were omitted from Ice Cube's contract with Black America, which is completely false. When we say Black people, we mean Black people. So stop coming in and instigating on some divide and conquer type, or maybe even COINTELPRO type tactics that are happening right now.
It's definitely COINTELPRO-ish.
Definitely. You want to expand on that point?
Yeah, I think I talked about it last time, and of course, I encourage people to go back and read the tenets of COINTELPRO, and it's specifically targeted at a Black messiah, right? To never allow the rise, and you sow division and discord. And to me, I gotta be real, liberals in the last 10 years have been the ones sowing the most discord in our community. And they have been doing it through social media and through what I call paid Black mercenaries. And the first sign of that really triggered that, I mean, there were inklings before that, but never forget the article that 2 Black men wrote that called Black men at large in our community, the white people of Black people. That's COINTELPRO.
It was so COINTELPRO. I was so heated, and a lot of people were like, yeah, that's kind of true. And I was like, all right, so cancel, delete, block.
It's not true.
Don't associate with me. X, Y, Z. It was called Very Smart Brothers. They put this out like Black men are the white men of Black people. Hell to the nah. So yes, go ahead.
So and I want to get into that, the Very Smart Brothers article, where they actually use Black men to negatively portray other Black men in a very vicious light. So these individuals who are behind the scenes, as you can see, are very clever in their tactics and what they're trying to do by using paid agents or shills to go out there and spread negative information and create false narratives so that we can have this infighting going on. And it's all because Ice Cube said, listen, our vote is not free. If you want our vote, you're going to have to come to the table with something. You're not going to get our vote for free. You have to put together a Black agenda that's one that has some real progressive items included in it. And I will talk with either party that's willing to come to the table and negotiate. And that is any smart, educated person who is looking to vote would do. You just don't look at mainstream media and because they say someone's a white supremacist or someone's racist or this and that. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you think that Biden is not racist, then you're fooling yourself. Because one of the first things that the Biden campaign did, which was, I don't want to go into, which is very low, was that when it was revealed that Kamala Harris would be his pick for VP, she had a track record of prosecuting Black men, going after Black men aggressively, and also not identifying as Black because she identified as Indian prior to that. So, and we know that Biden authored the 1994 crime bill, which led to mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex. That's another story. But to divert attention away from Kamala Harris's track record, her failure among Black men, they did two things. The first one was paint her as a Black woman, get rid of the Indian title and all that, and focus on her going to Howard University, Black woman, even though she's married to a white man. And notice also in that while I'm on that topic, the double standard. If Obama had been married to a white woman, he would never be president. But it's okay for Kamala Harris to have a white man. But anyway, so they construct her image to be the everyday Black woman, right? And then for you to criticize her record, her track record on her failures with Black men, well, you're criticizing a sister. You're criticizing a Black woman. How dare you do that? Why would you do that? This is the narrative that they spun coming right out the gate with Kamala Harris. And they attacked Black men who brought up her record as, you're attacking Black women. You see what they did? So I want you to understand what you're fighting against and what's going on. Because you have those forces out there who don't want you in existence at all. They want to take your seat off this planet. And they'll do everything they can, including hire their agents that look just like you to do so. But in this case, you can clearly see that the USA article today was authored by a white woman and giving you an indication of what really goes on behind the scenes. And I can lead this all the way up to Black Lives Matter to understand who's really behind that as well, and why that organization has not made any progress for Black people in this country. But I want to limit the conversation here to Ice Cube. Every time I say his name, I keep thinking Ice-T. But Ice Cube, and say that I have issues with every time these campaigns come out, they don't talk to economists. They always go to entertainers. But be that as it may, what Ice Cube did here was the right thing to do. He was called upon by these two campaigns. He sat down at the table with them, and the one that was willing to talk happened to be the Trump administration. And he had a conversation with them. That didn't mean he was supporting them. So I want you to think smartly, to look deeper into what's going on and what's being put out there in mainstream media, because it's a lie. And it can be sometimes very difficult to navigate through all the bull, because there's so much out there and so much being put out there by those individuals who look like you. I argued with one gentleman the other day. He was Black, and he was putting out these negative articles about calling Ice Cube out for not including Black women. And I said, well, did you really look at the plan? Did you examine this plan? Did you see where it said all Black people? And it didn't exclude anyone. Of course he didn't, because some of these accounts are just fake accounts on social media that are put out there by the established order to influence the conversation thread. So really, that's all I have to say about this subject. And I really don't like getting too much into politics on this. But while we're here, I want to make sure that you are aware of my program, which is called Secret Movie Deal Program. So if you're looking to break into the film industry, check out my program. It really teaches a lot about how to go through, get through the industry and get through those doors that may appear to be closing. And it shows you techniques on how to navigate all of that. And it's really, really great. Check it out. You'll be all the wiser from going through the program, and you'll know exactly how to prepare yourself, how to get your career in order, and how to deal with what's going on now, because things have changed in Hollywood because of the whole pandemic. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope this broadcast has really enlightened you into what's going on with the media. This is Ron K. Armstrong, filmmaker extraordinaire. Until my next video, keep making films.